In 1845, a microscopic water mold reached Ireland, and within a few years, roughly 1 million people were dead, starved beside fields that still shipped food to Britain. To understand how a single plant could carry 1 million people to the grave, you have to start at the lowest point of its story. In 1845, a water mold called Phytophthora infestans reached Ireland. It attacked the potato crop directly, turning fields black and tubers to slime. That first year, the blight ruined up to half of the 1845 crop. Over the next 7 years, it destroyed about 3/4 of the crop. When the same disease returns year after year, there is no time to recover, no reserve to fall back on. Nearly half of Ireland's population depended almost exclusively on potatoes. And not just any potatoes, but just 1 or 2 types. The whole food supply of millions of people rested on a plant that could be wiped out by a single organism. How does an entire nation end up betting its survival on one crop? And why did the food that could have saved them keep leaving the country? Part 1, the root of the Andes. To answer that, we have to travel much further back and much higher up than a rain-soaked Irish field. Long before it reached Ireland, the potato belonged to the mountains. It was domesticated in what is now southern Peru and the extreme northwest of Bolivia, somewhere between roughly 8,000 and 5,000 BC. Scientists believe domestication happened about 8,000 years ago near Lake Titicaca, a lake sitting at around 3,800 meters above sea level. The earliest tuber remains ever archaeologically verified come from the coastal site of Ancon, dating to about 2500 BC. This was the first domesticated root vegetable in the Americas, and the people who tamed it did not stop at one kind. In the Andean Highlands of Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador, more than 4,000 varieties of native potatoes still grow today, at dizzying altitudes between 3,500 and 4,200 meters. They are conserved on the farms themselves, as living heritage passed down through generations. Around 200 species of wild potatoes exist across the Americas. Think about that number for a moment. 4,000 cultivated types, kept alive by farmers. Now remember what would later happen in Ireland with just 1 or 2. The contrast is the whole story. But diversity alone was not enough to survive the Andes. These farmers faced a problem no ordinary crop could solve. Part 2, engineering survival in the Highlands. Frost. High in the Andes, the cold is a constant threat. A single hard frost can destroy a harvest. So the people of these mountains did something remarkable. They engineered their landscape and their food to defeat it. They built raised field systems, known as waru-waru, seen at Tiahuanacu. These fields channeled water and warmth in ways that protected the crops, producing yields estimated at about 10 tons per hectare. That kind of productivity helped sustain a population of more than 500,000 people around the year 800 AD, in an environment that should have been hostile to farming. Then there was chuño. By repeatedly exposing potatoes to nighttime frost and daytime sun, Andean farmers freeze-dried them, turning a perishable tuber into food that could be stored for years. Chuño became a backbone of the Inca food supply, and the empire moved it far beyond the mountains. Archaeologists found roughly 500-year-old chuño in an Inca storage room on Peru's arid south coast, hundreds of miles from where it was made. This was not a primitive crop. It was the foundation of empire. So how did this Andean marvel end up as a fragile European gamble? Part 3. A curiosity conquers Europe. The answer arrived on Spanish ships. When the Spanish carried the potato from Peru to Europe around the 16th century, it did not arrive as a staple. It arrived as a curiosity. the first tubers circulated as exotic gifts, passed between botanists and prominent figures, admired more than eaten. But here lies the fatal detail. Essentially, all of Europe's potatoes descended from just a few tubers sent by the Spanish. And because farmers plant tuber clones rather than true seeds, European cultivation was, from the very beginning, a genetic monoculture, a vast crop grown from a tiny pool of near-identical plants. Compare that to the 4,000 varieties still guarded in the Andes. Europe took the plant, but not the diversity that had protected it for millennia. Even so, the potato did not conquer Europe overnight. Rulers had to push it. Frederick the Great of Prussia issued a series of potato edicts, the most famous dated the 24th of March, 1756. Yet historians note these had limited immediate success. The plant was already growing in Bavaria from 1647, and it only became a true German staple after the Napoleonic Wars. Slowly, though, the potato took hold, and when it did, it changed the shape of the entire continent. Part 4. The Engine of the Old World. For all its fragility, the potato was astonishingly powerful. It grew where grain struggled, produced more food per acre, and fed people cheaply. By conservative estimates from an economic study by Nunn and Chien, published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics in 2011, the introduction of the potato accounts for roughly 1/4 of the growth in Old World population and urbanization between 1700 and 1900. One crop, responsible for 1/4 of the population boom and the rise of cities. This was the engine beneath the modern world. But it is worth remembering what came before. The historian Fernand Braudel calculated that France alone suffered 40 nationwide famines between 1500 and 1800. Hunger was normal. The potato promised an escape from that cycle, and for a time, it delivered. Yet every one of those millions of new mouths was now increasingly tied to a single, cloned crop. The more people depended on it, the more catastrophic its failure could be. Nowhere was this dependence deeper or more dangerous than in Ireland, a place where the potato was not just food, but nearly the only food. What would happen when the monoculture finally met its match? The Great Famine struck Ireland between 1845 and 1849, when the potato crop failed in successive years due to late blight. About 1 million people died. Perhaps 2 million more emigrated. Ireland's population fell by 20 to 25% between 1841 and 1871, and at least 2.1 million people left the country between 1845 and 1855. These are not just numbers, they are the emptying of a nation. But blight alone did not kill 1 million people. The causes were structural. Ireland was governed as a colony of Britain. There was absentee landlordism, single crop dependence, and a laissez-faire administration in London that curtailed relief. And here is the fact that has never stopped haunting this history. During the blight, Ireland continued to export large quantities of food to Britain. Food left the country while its people starved. The potato crop did not fully recover until 1852. A disease exposed the crop's fragility, but a political and economic system turned that fragility into mass death. The story is not one of nature alone. It is a story of what happens when profit and power decide who eats and who does not. Part 5. The Ghost in the Genes. Science has since traced the killer itself. A 2014 study published in PNAS found that Phytophthora infestans was introduced to Europe in the 1840s, and that a strain known as Herb1 reached Ireland from the Americas. The pathogen's exact geographic origin is still debated. Researchers weigh South America against Central Mexico, and the study's nuclear gene analyses favored Central Mexico. But honestly, the question is not fully settled. That uncertainty is worth sitting with, rather than dressing up as a final revelation. The blight was never truly defeated either. Late blight still carries a global cost estimated at over $6 billion every year. The deepest lesson is written in the genetics. The Andes protected the potato with thousands of varieties, on farm, as living heritage, a diversity that could absorb a shock. Europe took a handful of clones and built a continent on them. When the mold came, the varied fields of the mountains had resilience. The monoculture never did. Those 4,000 Andean varieties still grow today, still tended by the communities who first tamed this remarkable root. The potato fed empires and built cities, but its history reminds us that the strength of any food and any people may lie in how much variety we choose to keep alive. This story touches on famine, forced migration, and mass death. If it brings up difficult feelings, please reach out to a trusted person or a local mental health or crisis support service in your area. Support is available, and you do not have to carry it alone.